Imagine a quiet workshop in the year 1740, where the air is thick with the scent of freshly planed oak and beeswax. The sun casts long golden rectangles across a workbench scattered with iron tools and wood shavings. In this era, the joiner was a master of both geometry and patience, working with wood as a living, breathing material. They understood that wood expands and contracts with the seasons, requiring joints that could move without breaking. We begin our exploration with the dovetail joint, perhaps the most recognizable hallmark of quality in 18th century cabinetry. Observe the interlocking pins and tails that resemble the fanned tail of a bird, creating a mechanical bond that resists being pulled apart. Early in the century, the through dovetail was common, showing the joinery on both faces of the wood. As tastes shifted toward the refined Queen Anne style, the half-blind dovetail emerged, hiding the construction behind a beautiful mahogany veneer. Listen to the soft, rhythmic sound of a chisel paring away thin curls of wood to perfect the fit. Each stroke is deliberate, intended to create a surface so smooth that the wood fibers almost fuse together. Now, consider the mortise and tenon, the fundamental structural joint for chairs and tables of the 1700s. A rectangular hole, the mortise, is meticulously carved to receive a protruding tongue of wood. The tenon. To ensure these joints never failed, craftsmen utilized a technique called draw boring. A wooden peg was driven through slightly offset holes, pulling the shoulder of the tenon tight against the mortise with immense mechanical force. The evolution of joinery was also driven by the arrival of exotic woods like mahogany from the West Indies. This stable, dense grain allowed for finer, thinner dovetails, often referred to by collectors as London-style joints. In the mid-18th century, the rise of Thomas Chippendale's influence brought more complex forms to furniture. Joiners had to adapt, creating bridle joints and metered halving to support the elegant, flowing curves of Rococo legs. Hide glue, prepared in a warm pot at the corner of the bench, served as the silent partner in every assembly. Derived from animal proteins, it seeped into the wood cells, creating a bond that was stronger than the timber itself. Unlike modern adhesives, hide glue was reversible, allowing a piece of furniture to be disassembled and repaired even centuries later. This foresight is why so many 18th century masterpieces remain functional in museums today. As we move through the workshop, notice the dado and rabbet joints used to secure the backs of chests and the bottoms of drawers. These simple grooves provided stability while allowing the large panels of wood to shrink and grow without splitting. The tools themselves were evolving, with refined steel allowing for thinner saw blades and sharper planes. This precision enabled the delicate rule joint found on drop leaf tables, which remains smooth and gapless as the leaf is raised. Every finished piece represents hundreds of hours of focused, manual labor and a deep understanding of natural physics. The repetition of the work brought a sense of quiet order to the craftsman's daily life. As the light fades in the workshop, the finished mahogany desk stands in the shadows, its joints invisible but its strength absolute. It is a monument to a time when things were built to outlast their makers by generations. Feel the stillness of the wood and the weight of the history held within these interlocking fibers. The work is complete, the tools are put away, and the mind can drift into the peaceful silence of the past. Discover more history by watching the next video. We're eager to share more with you. You can't go wrong. All our videos are deeply detailed, dull while fascinating, and distinctly sleep-inducing.